Today brings us some of the first Drukhari previews of the new codex, and it seems like both Kabalite warriors and their Splinter cannons have got a fair bit better. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where today we're talking about the first previews for Drukhari, which as we know by now do seem to be the next codex that are going to be released. I believe that the Dark Eldar were originally planned for January, but I think they've been delayed due to shipping problems, and at the moment it's not entirely clear whether they'll be coming either sometime in February or early in March. In any case, until then, Games Workshop are going to be releasing a few of their stat lines as they normally do, and they say we might start to see some new packaging for the models as well, which might give us a few more clues down the line. So today they've shown us off two new things, the Kabalite warriors and Splinter cannons, and I thought it would also be worth revisiting the Incubi stat line, which are looking hilariously scary, and I believe they gave that us around about a month ago. Currently Kabalite warriors are 8 points per model in the new points update, and currently I'm a bit unsure as to whether the points update is reflective of the new codex, or whether we'll see further changes before then. It's true that quite a lot of Drukhari points values did change, quite a lot more drastically than a lot of the other factions that had revisions, which does kind of point to them being rewritten for a new codex, but I don't think we're going to have official confirmation until further down the line. In any case, if we are presuming around 8 points at the moment, Kabalite warriors are looking a fair bit better. They've received 2 buffs to their base stat line, their armor going to 4+ save from a 5+, and their attacks going to 2 from 1. Out of these, I think the 4+ armor save is by far the most helpful. Drukhari can be a bit fragile, and having some of their core battle line being a bit harder to shift is really going to be helpful for 9th edition missions. With a squad of 10 of these in light cover on an objective, you're going to need some serious firepower to scrape them off. They're not just going to melt to bolters quite as easily. As well as this, they have also gained an additional attack, though unless they are given any other random combat upgrades on their profile, which seems unlikely, those attacks are probably still going to be Strength 3 and AP 0. Don't get me wrong, it's certainly nice to have, but it's not going to be very relevant against anything but the lightest of infantry. Things like Imperial Guard or Tyranid Termagants, for example. It might help them bully some of their other rivals from other codexes, but I still don't think it's a very good idea to charge them into Space Marines or anything of the like. It will likely mean that the squad's Cyberite Sergeant will have 3 attacks though, which could make melee weapons just a little bit more of a tempting pick compared with before. The other change comes to the Splinter cannon, and this one's seen a bit of a shake-up in its role. It used to be a 36 inches rapid-fire 3 poison weapon with AP 0 and damage 1, so essentially just good against hordes and monstrous creatures really. But now it retains 36 inches, but it's heavy 3, not rapid fire, strength 3, AP -1, damage 2, and also retains that poisoned weapon rule, wounding on a 4+. It basically gains AP -1 and damage 2, and loses those extra shots at half range and a bit of mobility on infantry platforms, so Kabalite warrior squads might not like it quite as much, but still be just as viable before on things like Venoms. Overall, if it was firing at anything that had more than 1 wound, that damage 2 is going to be a really good upgrade, and will make up for the loss of shots. AP -1 doubles down on this, and between the 2 upgrades, it's just going to be far better at clearing things like Space Marines. I think even within half range, which it might not have been, the old cannon would have averaged around about 2/3 of a wound on a Space Marine per round of shooting, and this one averages 1. Not bad at all considering just how prevalent Space Marines are right now. It'll also make the cannon more efficient against things like monstrous creatures, where it'll still wound on 4s, and that extra AP should hopefully help to overcome their higher armor saves. Just in general as well, if you are firing against anything that's greater than 18 inch away, then it is going to be better than the old cannon. You'll still be getting 3 shots, but they'll be far better shots. The only way it really loses out is if you're firing against hordes up close. If you didn't really care about the AP or damage characteristics, then it's just not going to be as effective against things like orcs, or things that had low saves or relied on invulnerable saves. If you don't care about the 2 damage, an extra AP -1 isn't going to make up for having half the shots. Overall, I'd say it's a slight side grade, but more of an upgrade than a nerf. It might well be worth considering a bit more for squads camping objectives, or hanging out in raiders trying to stay at arm's length. Obviously it will depend on the points cost for the thing. I suspect it might cost 5 points less on infantry than vehicles, as is often the case for other heavy weapons. While we're on the subject of Drukhari though, I just wanted to revisit the Incubi datasheet, which I think Games Workshop showed off about 6 weeks ago. To be honest, these guys are looking far more threatening than a few Kabalite warriors to me, and it looks like they might be becoming equivalent to the Sister Repentia of the Drukhari. Repentia are some of the most competitive Sisters units because of their crazy damage output, and Incubi might well be able to match this. They're currently 16 points per model in the new points update, which would fit with their 4 power level that they have here. Every one of them hits on 2s, and they get 3 attacks at strength 5, AP -3, and a flat damage 2. They're not all that durable, though they aren't terrible as they do have a 3+ armor save, but just the sheer damage output from these guys is absolutely staggering. An 80-point squad will on average go through around about 7 or 8 Space Marines. Even if they're just bog standard intercessors, that could be around about 115 points of models killed in one combat phase, and they'll certainly put in a decent amount of work against hordes and vehicles as well. Again, one of these minimum 4 power level squads will put around about 8 wounds on a toughness 8 vehicle. They might not be able to have amazing amounts of synergy within the Drukhari decks. They don't get the Cabal, Cult or Coven keywords right now, but to be honest at these stat lines they really don't need to. Just throwing 3 small units of these off the board in Venoms looks like it might give your opponent a threat that they really need to neutralise unless they want to get hit very hard the next turn. It might not be the easiest to kill them all if they're also being overloaded by another bunch of fast moving Drukhari's threats at the same time. So some scary stuff from the Dark Eldar, and it's good to see some nice treatment of another Xenos army. They have been struggling a bit throughout 8th edition, so it would be nice to see them restored to some competitive glory. Let me know your thoughts as always down in the video comments below, and feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics if you'd like to see more like this. I'll be hoping to cover the Drukhari Codex in full as soon as we have the details. Finally, if you have been enjoying the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that I do have a Patreon page which you can find down in the video description. Channel patrons get a few bonuses, such as seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry to the channel's regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some really big model kits. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support the channel, then the link is down in the video description below. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.